I'll have this recorded and then I'll have this sent to you by Monday. So you can go back and watch it again. And then obviously any questions come up any point in the future, weeks, months from now, just message me anytime and I'll get back to you. Sound good?
Yeah.
All right. So what got you interested in coaching?
I've had coaching before on Diva from another person. I don't remember his name. But he was like an XOWL player.
Cool.
And that was a few years ago. And I've been getting back, like since Overwatch 2's came out, I've been like getting back into it. And since Overwatch 2 started, I was mostly playing tank. And then my tank roll is actually too high to play with my friends. So then I started playing DPS.
Suffering from success.
Yeah, for real. And which is what I originally played back when I played on console. And I just been like, it's been a lot of fun. So I've just continued to be playing it a lot. And like I said in the notes, since I've been playing with my friends a lot, which has not really been the case recently, but I feel like I've picked up maybe some bad habits from playing with like my friends in bronze, and stuff.
Yeah. I know how that goes. Any of my friends watching this review, shame on you. They're the only reason I'm not top 500, but I know how that goes. Okay, makes sense. So you're working on like picking up DPS specifically. Now remind me, is the DPS the lower rank so that you can play with your friends?
Now it's plat 4 and my tank is plat 2. So I mean it's basically the same now, but back when I was playing with him, it was like silver or gold, and I've just I got tired of waiting for my friends to get online or like commit to playing the game, so I just kept playing DPS and then just climbing.
Okay. Again, suffering from success again. So what's the plan for you? Is like the social play still an aspect that you're enjoying, or is it now just like, screw that, I'm just like all on the DPS train now?
Yeah, if I play with my friends, I'm just gonna play support. Honestly.
Okay. Yeah, true. I mean, worst case scenario, I know everyone's like, oh, I want to play ranked, but you could just play quick play. Like I don't know how much they like that, but I have a lot of fun. I think, especially in stacks, quick play can be pretty sweaty because you'll be playing up versus other stacks as well. So like, it'll feel like ranked. So
yeah,
worst case
100%.
But yeah, okay. So sounds good. So you're on the DPS right now. What are we going to be doing coaching today? Is it going to be tank, DPS, a little bit of both?
Mostly Genji.
Sure.
But on the second VOD that I have, if the first one goes by quick enough, the second half of it is my second main that I play, which is Widowmaker. So if we get to that point, a little bit of Widowmaker, but mostly Genji. I've been trying to get clips, but it's been really hard to get games that are either close or like not a complete stomp in one way or the other.
Yeah, makes sense. One of the consequences of 5v5, I think, particularly. But yeah, okay. So trying to find out if there's any new habits or bad habits that you've picked up from playing with your friends. I wouldn't worry as much about that if that's like something that you've kind of like moved on from for now. Obviously, you've picked up some good habits because you're plat 4 now, so you're doing something right. And then I guess, how long have you been playing Overwatch seriously? Because you said you kind of came back a little bit more seriously now, but you've been playing for quite some time. So what's kind of like pivoted you back into the spotlight, I guess, again?
Yeah, so I've been playing since the Overwatch 1 beta, and I played pretty competitively on console for a really long time. And then I switched over to PC towards the end of like the Overwatch 1 era, but I still didn't have a good enough PC. And then eventually I upgraded it. And then when I was playing Overwatch 1 on PC, it was like when nobody was playing and it was like really frustrating.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of like a situation where I'd kind of come back every once in a while. And then when Overwatch 2 came out, I was playing pretty heavily, but like only playing tank. Which I play mostly Diva when I play tank, but she's been, when Mauga came out, it was so frustrating. But like I said, I've just been having a lot of fun playing DPS, so I've just kind of defaulted to doing that most of the time. Okay,
sounds good. I mean, there's nothing stopping you from improving your DPS to a higher plat or maybe even a low diamond, depending on how things go, and then being like, that was fun. Let's go get my tank up again. I think there's a lot to benefit from ping-ponging between roles. I think the thing that people make the mistake of is they just like fruit medley all the time. When I think it's good to specialize for a period of time and then specialize for a period of time, so specialize in DPS, Genji Widow for a month, and then you get bored, play some tank for a month. And I think you can actually, it's better to do that in terms of growth than it is to just play Genji Widow tank every day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. Playing Overwatch Monday through Friday, only a couple hours on some days, Friday through Sunday, 4 through. So you're definitely like able to put more time in. Now, when you say some days, is that 1 day, 2 day, 3 days? I'm sure that depends, obviously, but what's the general average?
So for about the past month, it's been pretty hard to play because I've been getting like really sick pretty often. So it's been hard to play. Like, yeah, it's all good. We're trying to figure out what's going on, but like the doctors straight up don't know. But before that, I was playing probably like through Monday through Friday, or Monday through Thursday, I should say, maybe 2 or 3 days, like a couple hours, just because, I work, 10 hours a day, Monday through Thursday. Sure. And then, Friday through Sunday, maybe 2 days out of that, or all days, I'd play for, 4+ hours, during the day.
Sure. Okay. That's certainly doable. I mean, even just getting like 1 or 2 days, Monday through Friday, where you're able to get just a couple hours in. If you have to have any energy or any focus that you put in those hours, then it's going to be good practice. Just so you're aware, maybe you've heard me talk about this before, but don't try to overcompensate in the weekend. If you're playing for 4+ hours, make it because you want to and you're just having fun playing, not because you're like, oh, I need to catch up in my practice. I would say like the hard ceiling for most people, depending on the amount of sleep that they have and and so on, was probably around 3 or 4 hours on one day. So then like after that 3.5 whatever hour mark, you're not like catching up. You might just be burying yourself deeper in the pit. If you're trying to play to improve. So what I would say is Friday, Saturday, Sunday, first couple hours, play serious, give it full effort. After that, if you want to keep queuing and ranked even, sure, go for it. But you're not playing to improve. You're playing to have fun. You're just chilling.
Yeah. I really enjoy playing Overwatch, and I particularly enjoy playing competitive over quick play most of the time, just because I feel like people take it a little bit more seriously.
Agreed.
Which is why I play it so much. But if I do get pissed off at the game, I just stop playing right there. That's like usually when I'm like, all right, I'm performing like crap because I'm like angry or something. That's when I stop.
Okay, as long as you got the seatbelt, then you're good to go then. Okay, sounds good. But yeah, you can do a lot with a couple of hours during the weekdays. I wouldn't worry too much about it. Now, you said you play mostly ranked. Do you warm up at all with Genji or Widow?
Yeah, usually I play like a couple games of quick play. Sometimes it's 1 or 2. Sometimes it's like 3 or 4, just depending on. Like usually, I don't like know how I can quantify it or like put it into exact words, like how this feeling is. But usually, like at a certain point, I'll be like, okay, I kind of feel like I'm good and like I've warmed up enough to get into ranked right now. Like my dashes are on point, or I'm like not whiffing all my shots.
Does this become a problem on weekdays when you're more pressed for time?
I mean, I have less time, but honestly, for whatever reason, I feel like when I play on weekdays, I feel like I have better games for whatever reason.
Sure. Okay. That's fine. It just might mean that, I guess what my question is if you're pressed for time, let's say you only have like an hour and a half, do you have a shortcut for your warm-up available?
What do you mean by a shortcut?
As in, you're playing like 1 to 2, maybe 3 to 4 games of quick play. Have you tried other ways to warm up faster when needed?
No, I mean, for the most part, if I feel like I'm not like ready to get into a competitive, I just won't, and I'll just continue to practice in quick play.
Okay, fair enough. What I would recommend, at least to try on those days where you might not have enough time, is, have you played Unranked Deathmatch before?
Yes, I have.
Okay, that might be something to stand in just in case when you're pressed for time.
Okay.
Just because it's immediate engagements, no respawn time, no nothing, just go. The queue time is really the only thing you have to worry about. And it's also good mechanical practice as well. That might be useful. That might even be, if you're really trying to grind your mechanics, that might even be a better use of time for your non-weekend days as well, or for your weekend days, excuse me, because it's just good mechanics. When I was practicing Genji a lot, if a lot of people don't like it, I personally liked it, so it really worked well for my mechanics. But I would say just give it a shot. If you like it, great. If you don't worry about it. But it's at least an option there that I would put out. Okay. Goals here. Long term, short term, hope to climb diamond. Long term, I want to be the best I can possibly be at any given time. Eventually, I'd love to be in GM. I think with the amount of hours that you're playing Grandmaster is not unreasonable. It might be difficult with the characters that you're playing, but it is possible. certainly we can focus on short-term goals and see what happens down the road. Okay. What do you feel is holding back from improving? At the time that you filled out this form, you said, I think I'm still improving as it is. However, I think it would be much easier if someone who knew a lot more about the overall game to provide a third-person view of how I play, so to speak. Okay. So how has that improvement continued? Does you feel like you've plateaued a little bit more recently? I don't know when you filled out this form, or do you feel like you're still progressing?
I mean, this season's been kind of rough. I've been trying specifically to grind just Genji for preparation of this. I play a lot of different DPS. Like for example, yesterday I played a game where I was just like trying to play Genji, and I was like, I just need a win right now. Yeah. I just it was Icon Valda attacking, and I just went straight over to Pharah, and we won that. I play a lot of different DPS, but playing just Genji, I feel like it's been kind of 50-50. And I think a lot of that has to maybe do with a lot of the tanks that people are playing recently. And I'm not trying to blame the tanks or anything. I just think it's a different play style than what a lot of people, either a lot of people are different than what they're used to, or doesn't really mesh well with what they're doing. But okay. especially when Mauga came out, like I was saying before, it was just not fun to play at all. With him around.
Yeah, I can imagine that. I mean, the thing for you is going to be about finding out what can I do to remain productive? What playstyle adjustments can I make when there's a lot of tanks or DPS or supports that are difficult to play around, and take as much responsibility. The good news I would say is that Genji definitely can feel frustrating to play versus certain compositions, but there aren't too many situations where you're going to really need to swap. Widowmaker, you might need. There's definitely gonna be situations that you need to swap, especially in some maps and some heroes.
Yeah.
Even with the tanks that you have, Junker Queen, there will be some maps where it will feel almost impossible to play Junker Queen. Diva's a little bit more middle of the road, but Genji, I think, is probably, ironically, out of all four of your characters, probably the most flexible in terms of what you could do. So it's going to be about understanding what are those things, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't, it can feel very much like, what do I do? So okay.
Yeah, that's why I like playing him, just especially his survivability. A lot of the times, if I'm in a bad spot, I know I've got several options to not be in that spot anymore, or just survive longer.
Yep.
But for example, I was having in the second VOD, I had to switch off Genji just because they had a Sombra that was just sitting in their backline doing absolutely nothing but waiting for me to dive in, and then hacking me right when I came in, and I couldn't. Well, not that I couldn't do anything, but then everybody would turn, and I can't deflect everything back at him or anything like that.
Sure. I guess my question would be, is it you're unsure of how to adjust around that, or is the adjustment such that it doesn't make you want to play the character anymore?
I just sometimes feel like there's better characters to switch to in a certain situation to win the match, and I want to get good enough with Genji where I can, instead of going, oh dude, I wish this person would do this, or I thought, for example, I think one of my biggest flaws when I play DPS is I expect people to play how I would in certain roles. And if a support starts to heal me, I immediately turn around. I'm like, okay, they're going to heal me up, to full or close to full. And they immediately stop healing me. And then I just dash in, and I'm like, oh shit, this is not a good situation. I want to be in a, I guess mentally, when I'm playing them, and mechanically in a spot where I can just, carry games more often and just climb based on my own merit rather than, depending on other people.
Sure. Absolutely. I'm going to warn you that that's going to be a balance between, pushing yourself mechanically, but also patience and a lot of outsmarting your opponents. That might not be as dopamine inducing. What is it? Is it serotonin, where it's have this, you're not necessarily getting the tickies, but you have the satisfaction that you've outsmarted. I'm not sure the psychology of all that, but yeah, it's got to be a little bit more, not necessarily passive playstyle, but a lot more playing more about the indirect value, distraction, pressure, harassment, and so on. But yeah. Okay. So the question is going to be, is that still fun for you? Because there are so many, even the situation that you're describing with the Sombra, absolutely ways of outplaying that and win the game easily, actually. We'll talk about that in a second, I'm sure. But it might not be what you find fun about Genji. So it might be. I like outplaying things like that personally, but you might not. And that's normal.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the reason, I mean, maybe this is relevant, maybe it's not. But a lot of the reason why I like playing Diva isn't necessarily like diving in and killing people. Like I love defense matrixing a lot of things and denying value from people. So, I mean, I don't mind that so much I don't mind the whole, not getting kills and not being top of the leaderboard thing.
Yeah.
I just feel like sometimes, like I said, with other people around, like in the second video, I was watching it back a little bit. Because like I said, it was hard to find games where, either I was performing my best and not stomping or like, vice versa. But like there was a moment where I had like 2 or 3 people all the way away from the fight for at least like 40 seconds. And, my entire team is fighting 2 people and just can't kill them sort of thing.
Fair enough. Okay. Well, let's take a look here. Do you want to shoot me a replay code?
Yeah, I need to grab it really quick.
Sure.
All right, here's the first one.
Got
it. Okay, never mind.
Yep, I gotcha. You're all set. So why this code? What happens here? Is it just a close game or what?
Yeah, this was probably in the past couple. Well, I forgot that the replay thing only goes up to 10 games. So there were other games where, I was like, oh, these are close. And then I went to find them and I'm like, oh shit, these are all quick plays.
Yeah.
But as far as like since that point, this is probably the closest match where it was like very back and forth. And like I felt like I was playing pretty decent, but that's kind of where I wanted to have a game where I felt like I was playing, at my normal or a little bit better. Just so that way, if I am making mistakes in those situations, I know, if I don't know what they are, you can point them out.
Sure.
And then that way, when I am playing at like my best later, I can go, okay, I shouldn't be doing this or I should be doing this.
It's why we want a competitive game, right? Like if it's a stomp and you just fed and you're like, I know what I did wrong there. There's nothing to learn.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. We want to see how you play under pressure. Okay. So off angles, setting up pressure, utilizing mobility. The Genji cycle, which is something where I like to utilize my dash to engage, deflect out, or use my mobility, deflect, then dash out. So you could use either cooldown to get out. Prioritizing the right targets, mechanics, timing, all sorts of things to look at with Genji. So let's. I'm gonna kind of let things play for just a little bit first. I might say some stuff or have some questions for you here and there, but mostly just gonna kind of like let things chill. For the first little bit, especially because we do have that second game as well. So we'll just keep rolling. And if any questions come out, we're like, well, we just kind of blew past it, but like, what should I have done there? Let me know.
Yeah, and
go ahead.
Even watching it back, there's a couple times, especially in the second clip, where I was like, oh, that was very clearly a mistake. I definitely shouldn't have done that, sort of thing.
So let's talk about this really quick here. What is if you could literally make yourself invulnerable anywhere on the field, would you want to be here? Here? Would you want to be here? 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 Like, where's the optimal position and/or range that you'd want to be at this point in time?
I think the window is a pretty good spot, or at least if I was invulnerable, being on the bridge behind him would be pretty nice because I could do my right click and hit a few of them or be pretty close enough to at least hit 2 on one person.
Right. So you just feel closer and on that angle and with cover and all that kind of stuff. But you said you would require invulnerability to be here. Why? What do you, how do you get here?
So I would have to go straight through him, basically. I mean, I guess looking back at it now, I could probably dash over to the stairs on my left and the camera's right.
So like here?
Yeah, possibly. But this Hanzo was legitimately crazy.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
This Hanzo was hitting crazy shots, which is why I didn't go up to the window, just because I didn't want to get picked off immediately because he was killing everybody this round.
Right, because it's too easy for him to shoot you at this range, and he doesn't even have to move his crosshair. He's not even aiming in the sky. It's not scary. There's no real threat of picking him. I'm going to be honest with you. The angle that you described there and how you would get there on the left, going through the bridge, It's perfect. It's perfect. Now, obviously, you're missing HP right now. So I would demand a little bit of support from my Ana, but as soon as you can, so like right now, go.
Okay.
Go right now. Because this is not it. Like, you're not going to be able to make plays from here. This is too far. And not only is it too far, but let me show you why this is bad. Watch what's on your screen right now. See that? That's a bashing grenade.
Yeah.
That bashing grenade was not intended for you. That was intended for your Orisa, and yet you took the brunt of the damage. Same thing happened to your Ana. Why? Because when you group with your tank, you first off might not want to play where your tank wants to play. Second off, anything vomited at your tank, you're going to absorb. As opposed to if you had taken the time, like let's just say that you had the time and your Echo didn't die. Let's just say this is a fantasy little land. If you're here, anything thrown at your tank is free damage for you to get in. And if they turn and look at you, well, that's free damage for your Echo or for your Ana or for your Orisa. And you're actually not even that high of a risk here. Look at the cover that you have. Look at the deflect that you have. Look at the awkward angle that they have to look up to shoot you, and they turn your back to your teammates and in your optimal range. And even if they do push you, you'll be able to get out easily. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
So these are the angles that we're looking at. And when we talk about like kind of what you were saying with like the Sombra difficulty earlier, like how do I play around the Sombra? It's the same solution. If you could ask yourself, can I take an angle without having to use my dash or without having to dash into the middle of the enemy team? That's an angle you want. Okay, let's keep going here. Like even here. Yes. Rotate up left. Rotate up left. Because this is scary. This Hanzo is just like one arrow away. Like this is vulnerability in a frame right here. Now, you probably noticed something. The Spurge is no longer a good off angle.
Right.
So what do you do now?
Well, I started to dash, or I started to go in, and then I didn't feel safe, so I dashed up back to my team.
Yep. So you're going to deal with your team. The question is this a better angle than here?
At the time, I definitely think so, because those guys weren't looking over.
I think so too. And even though the Hanzo is still a threat here, at least you're close to the Hanzo, or closer to the Hanzo, right?
Yeah.
And check it out. Now they're looking at you. So then look at what they don't kill. Your Ana that literally just ran right in front of them. And then you just immediately, like, notice that we haven't even interacted with the Sigma yet. We've just tearing apart the supports. And you've been playing in your effective range. So you've gone from almost totally worthless to almost single-handedly deadlifting the team fight. And the only
I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, really, it was good. And the only thing that changed was your positioning. Only thing that changed. Good stuff.
I think for me, maybe one thing that's kind of hard is trying to think about that stuff in the heat of the moment.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time, like right now, I'm trying to really focus on my aim, because one of the things that I did when I like halfway through, like maybe like season 3 of Overwatch 2 is I used to have like a sensitivity that was way too high. Like I didn't move my arm around at all. It was just like all wrist.
Yeah.
And I recently put my DPS down to, or my sensitivity down to like 2, I think, or 0.2 or however it does in this.
Yeah.
Because I have a 3200 DPI mouse, so I turned it way down.
Good.
And I've been trying to get used to that, but now I almost think I'm too used to it, and I want to turn it down again. But I don't know. It's one of those things where it's kind of hard to tell whether it's just me or whether, you know, there's a more optimal.
Sure. How much mouse pad space do you have? Like inches wise, approximately.
Here, I've actually got a tape measure right here.
Brilliant.
For my mouse, I've got 12 inches. I've got a foot from my keyboard to the end of my mat.
Okay. What about vertically or depth?
Vertically, also the same.
Okay. So what I would say for you sensitivity wise is you could probably get away with, you said that you have a 3200 DPI mouse. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have Overwatch pulled up right now?
Yeah, I do.
Check your sensitivity. Check your sensitivity for sure.
Okay. I didn't want to stop it, but no, I appreciate you letting me look.
Sure.
It's at 1.85% for all heroes and 1.9 for Genji.
You could probably get away with 1.5. That would probably be reasonable. 1.5 or 1.25 would probably be just fine. Most pros that play Genji operate somewhere in that vicinity.
Okay.
So your sensitivity is go ahead.
The only reason I haven't yet is just because, and tell me if this is like something that's good or bad, is because for whatever reason, when my mouse is directly in the middle of, you know, that space that I have, when I hit the end of my space on either side, that's like a complete 180 degrees. So I feel like that's like something easy to remember.
Sure. I don't think it matters that much. I think what I would do is I would turn it down to 1.5 or 1.4, something like that. Try it for like 3 or 4 days, see how it feels. And if you don't like it, go back. Now, keep in mind, I'm going to warn you, if you go back, probably leave it for a period of time, because I've known some even pros that get like super like OCD obsessed about their sensitivity when really it doesn't matter that much. I think your sensitivity is definitely a little high, but it's not even that high, to be honest with you. It's probably fine. But if you feel like you want to turn it down, it's fine. Just don't get sucked into that rabbit hole is what I'll say.
Right.
Okay. But yeah, you were talking about like how sometimes you get a little overwhelmed with like choosing the angle. And I want to go back to this fight here where you're kind of vulnerable jumping out in the middle of the open. You rotated this way and then took the angle this way. That is probably the most advanced macro thing that you'll do this entire VOD. That was very impressive. The good news for you, though, is that you don't always have to adjust your angles mid-fight like that to be successful. Right now, for example, your Ana's dead because she's just got glue for a head, I think. Those Hanzo arrows are unreal.
I kept telling him in the chat, I was like, guys, can you please stop just peeking this Hanzo? He keeps hitting you guys in the head. Yeah.
So the good thing, though, is that you could probably predict where this fight's going to break out approximately, right? Where is it going to be? Approximately.
Most of the time, usually right there in the choke.
Right there in the choke. Look at the robot. Look at your team. Look at it's going to be somewhere around here, right? So then before the fight even starts, and this is crucial, before things get complicated and stressful, what is a decent angle for you to play from? Is it where you're at? Is there a better one?
At this time, I was thinking right there, right where that broken glass is, because if they're looking, you know, at the choke, at least I'd be not really quite behind them, but at least to the side of them.
Looks good to me.
I think because this echoes here, maybe a better position would be over on the other side, by that big green thing over there.
Yeah, it could be. I think it's okay to stack with your DPS as long as you have pressure from another angle, like your Ram Kiriko right now. I don't think it's terrible to be stacking with your Kiriko or your Echo. Excuse me. I wouldn't overthink that too much. But yeah, either one works, and this is the key thing, though. It took you a little bit of thought, you came up with a good solution. And then now you don't need to overthink your positioning too much mid-fight because you've already set the table for yourself. And so now that you're here, now it's just about patience, waiting for the fight to start, and then using your CDs. And this is the problem. You see this?
Yeah.
The problem is that you actually rotate back to main instead of holding the angle here. Now, actually, let's say that you stayed here, all right? And you see where the enemy team rotates to. This is still useful. This is still useful. This is still useful. Do you see another angle available to you?
The window is probably a good one.
You could dash across, even deflect if you need to. Tuck out here. Start putting pressure from here. Find an opportunity. Maybe get your cooldowns back. Look for a sneaky little assassination. Dash out or deflect out. Go back to cover. Do it again. But why does this one feel better than this one? Slightly better.
Because of the fact that I don't know if I'm going to word this right, but kind of everybody's. That corner of right underneath where the camera is probably where they'll be looking. Yeah. And where my tank will probably be, if they're, you know, playing cover, they'll probably be there for a little while. Yeah. And being on the left side, I'll be more out of their line of sight.
That's right. And you also have the option to easily, quickly deepen if you want to, right? It feels a little closer. So yeah, again, you adapt very well in VOD review and come up with a great answer. Problem is this is a kind of a pointless discussion because you're not in any angle right now. You're stacking with your tank. And so obviously you could get shot, you could get spammed. You have really no opportunity to go for any squishy because they're all too far away.
I have a question. So I think part of the reason why I do that is just because at the time Ana was dead, so I didn't really feel safe. Is like one person dead, like, is that being a little bit too like dramatic, like not feeling safe with just the Ana dead?
Great question. It actually has nothing to do with the Ana being dead. When you're down 1 or 2, maybe you'll back up or disengage, right? Okay. But that no amount of death or dying or dismay should make you go back and play with your tank. Because actually this is an even more dangerous spot for you to be.
Okay.
If anything, you hold the same angle, but maybe you just don't peek it as aggressively. maybe you play a little bit sneakier. Maybe you play patiently and wait for something to happen, or listen for a cooldown or something like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So when you lose somebody, it doesn't necessarily mean that, oh, go back to your tank. It might mean back up, right? Maybe you back up, but it almost never, ever means group up with your team. Almost never.
Okay.
Because they might go, oh, they're down one, push, 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 and just totally ignore you. And then you're just like, wham. I mean, this happens all the time I see in pro play, even Grandmaster level play and so on, where the team will get a pick, they get greedy, they push forward, but they forgot about the Echo on the angle, or the Genji on the flank, or the Sombra on the back line. And while they're pushing, the back line is dying, right? But that's not going to be happening here. And in fact, it might be you dying here, right?
Right. That makes a lot of sense.
Did she get the... Oh, she couldn't quite get it. You're too far away. Wait. Oh, there's a frame. And crucially here, do you want to know why this blade fails? 2 reasons.
Well,
2 reasons.
What's that?
All right. Number 1, too far away. Now, I know why you're thinking, oh, I wanted nano, but remember, you could have done it from here.
Yeah.
Hey, look who's here.
Yeah.
Right? This would have been not only a kill on the Hanzo, but also a much easier secure on the Moira and the Bastion. And the other reason is you die because the Bastion is shooting you right now.
Yeah.
Where was your deflect?
I had it, but I think I would have died either way to the Moira ult.
Probably, right? But even just additional pressure, right? Your deflect was utilized before the blade because you were stacked on me.
Mm-hmm.
So then even if you had died to Moira ult, whatever, you didn't have all the tools at your disposal to do what you want. And so while you're fuming under your breath, swearing at your Ana for failing to hit the nano, which is fair, I would be swearing under my breath.
Oh,
myself.
I definitely, I was like, fuck. Yeah, that's,
yeah.
I was like, well, I pressed Q. I got to go in now.
Yeah. It happens. So big thing there, you needed to stay on the angle. You needed to not, and staying on the angle means that you're able to keep your deflect. It means you're in a better position for the blade. Even now, you know where this fight's going to start. You know it.
Yeah.
You know where the robot is, right? So where should you be?
Probably up in that window above the bus.
Up in the window again, right? Same kind of thing. Wait, there we go. Now, the funny thing is that's not your only option. You're extremely dynamic with how you position as Genji. Where else could you go?
Over there on the balcony or terrace or whatever that's called.
Sure thing. You could dash across to here, and your supports can still heal you. You could even shoot the tank in the back of me. I mean, this is juicy, right? Bam, 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 bam. Wrap around this way, sneaky, sneaky, sneaky. You might run into the Hanzo here, but do you know what? Great. You love to run to Hanzo at point blank range. He's chicken feed. And the crucial thing too as well is by forcing the Hanzo to play with his team, the Hanzo has really bad sightlines. Hanzo would love to be over here with a Mercy Pocket, being able to do this, but he can't because you're there. So not only are you playing selfishly, but by playing selfishly, you're denying the enemy team from doing bad things to your team.
So in this situation, I think, subconsciously, this definitely wasn't like a conscious decision, but I think I maybe thought he was like a better player, and I just kind of wanted to avoid him at all costs. And is that also valid to just try to get the picks that you can, so that way the stronger player is less strong, or should you still be in those positions either way? Sure.
So first thing first, you don't know for sure if he's a better player. You know for sure that he's shot that you're on a Mercy a few times because they've been standing still. And they might have even been lucky shots. So you're not always a great judge in the moment of how good that player actually is. And even if you were right and he's better, equally skilled Genji, equally skilled Hanzo, who should win the 1v1 in a close encounter like this?
Definitely Genji.
Definitely Genji. If you want to be a better Genji, you need to look for situations when you should have an advantage and take them with bravado. And if you fail because you're bad, you're going to get good because you're going to put yourself in those situations. So the key thing is to not be stupid and egotistical. Don't force hubris. I'm going to dash at that Hanzo way over here and kill him, or I'm going to do what I did earlier, just double jump in the open and hit my shurikens perfectly. No, because he has the advantage there. It's too far, right? That's silly.
Okay.
But if it's a 50-50 duel or a 55-45 or a 60-40 where you should win the duel, take it. Take it. I would rather you lose some games because, if I had played more conservatively and it respected him, because in the long run, that mindset will not win you games. It will win you this game, maybe, but it will lose you other games because it builds bad passive habits also does not develop you mechanically. Makes sense?
Yeah.
All that being said, you do a pretty good job here. I would have preferred, obviously, the angle that we spoke on earlier, one of the two angles, but this is fine. Getting on top of backline, amazing what you can do. You guys were down 2 people, and you're about to win this fight because of the angle that you took. Well done. Really, really well done.
Thank you.
Okay. And crucially there, did you notice that you dashed in and then had your deflect to buy yourself some time?
Yeah.
That bought you so much time. That like allowed so many more of the kills to happen. Go ahead.
I love fighting Bastions because it's so easy to psych them out with their turret form because like they'll start shooting. I love that you can cancel the deflect now. Unlike back in Overwatch 1 where you had to like run up a wall to do it because they'll stop shooting and they're already at like 25% health and then you just shoot them a little. You just get rid of it.
Even the grenade is huge, right? Like if you can deflect that grenade, like that really hurts them as well. So I know you're gonna do it. Do it. Yes. Yes. Okay, they pop an ult, they back up, and they all look at you. Guess what? Now you don't peek. Right? Yeah. Because you know what you've done? If you put all of this attention, this kind of goes back to the Sombra example that we talked about earlier. We're like, okay, fine, you want to put all this attention to me? I'm going to still hold the angle. I'm just not going to commit. Fine, go ahead. Waste your time. Waste an ultimate looking at me. But you stay on the angle. So then they go back to main, and she's like, frick, I gotta look back at you again. she's like, you know, and you take it like no damage, and they're using cooldowns, and so you just stay here. And again, the funny thing is that you still have the angle. Now, your Ana, you know, again, she's having a hard time. But you know what? This is good. This is good. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
I think I do it. Yeah.
No, because I know what this means. This is going to be a deflect. Here it comes. Wait. But do you know what's funny is, again, it's like what ends up happening is you leave the angle and the Hanzo goes, oh, don't mind if I do. You see this?
Yeah. Okay.
And now your echoes, ooh, that's your fault.
Yeah. Okay. I see.
Maybe this Hanzo is big brain because he's actually playing this perfectly. He's sonicking a little bit on main, and then he just sees you walk away, and he's like, okay, I'm gonna take the angle. And this is exactly what we talked about the previous fight, where it's like, it's not just, oh, what can I do from this off angle? Which, to be honest with you, maybe not a whole lot, but at least there's a little bit less of a threat. But it's also like, you cannot let him take this angle.
Gotcha.
And that's it. You missed your opportunity. And remember, you're down a few, so what's the best thing you could do? Hold the angle.
Just leave. Oh,
right. Hold the angle or just leave. Yeah, you're right. You're 100% right. Either just totally leave entirely or hold the angle and play super sneaky. Because you know what? I mean, look, they're all being very greedy. Like, let's push, right? I mean, come on, look at this. This is Christmas morning for you, right?
Yeah.
And so are you going to win this fight right now? Probably not, but you'll build some ult charge. You might get a kill or two, right? Think about it. Like you might lose this fight, but send 1 or 2 of them back to the spawn room. That's really useful for you guys next fight, right?
Right.
So either totally disengage or hold the angle. Those are your 2 options usually. Same kind of thing here. Like, honestly, probably just leave. Yeah. Okay. All right. Mercy is pistoling. All right. You know where the fight's going to be. You know what angle you should take. Now, I know you're probably thinking Nanoblade, so that definitely adjusts a little bit of what angle you take. But this might even be where you might dash here, shoot a little, deflect, whatever, and then try to Nanoblade from here. Just because it's so much easier. It's so much closer. I don't know if your Ana can see you.
She can. I think she does nano me here.
Okay, she got it. Okay, we're good. Deflect. Oh my days, you're so low. That's crazy. It was fine. I think the nitpick besides of where you started, the only other thing I would say here is let your RAM go a little bit further forward first. I don't want to see this big of a gap between you and your team, even when you're nanoblading.
Okay.
I prefer your team to walk forward just a tad more. Now, obviously, there's a risk there that the Hanzo hits the Ana again. That's the risk that you have to take, because I would rather run that risk and still and then have my team support, because Nanoblade, unfortunately, does need a little bit of team support. You need your RAM in there. You need your Moira. You need your Echo Security. Because, I mean, honestly, like this guy, and that could have gone very badly.
Yeah, 100%. I didn't even realize that he was ulting.
Yeah. So I would put it this way. It's okay to open with Nanoblade. Just try to let your team to walk forward just at least a little bit closer first. just a little bit closer. Yeah. Okay. Let's keep going here. Any questions so far?
Yeah, I mean, I guess like aside from like positioning, how are my mechanics? Because I have like no other reference. I don't really watch a lot of Genji videos that are like, oh, you should have like this percentage of accuracy or like
totally irrelevant. Yeah, the stats, not the mechanics are not irrelevant, but the accuracy is not a good judge of mechanics because if you're doing what you're doing now, or you're shooting Sigma Shield on main, then you're gonna be able to farm some really good stats. But if you're like dueling tracers and dueling Hanzos on flanks, your stats are gonna be really bad, but you're gonna win a lot of games. So in terms of like objective mechanics, because I've seen a lot of Genji play, this is plat Genji.
Okay.
You are a platinum Genji mechanically. Your mechanics are neither a weakness nor a strength. They just are. So what I would do is keep playing the game. Maybe try a little bit of that warm up with deathmatch and shorter days, and just keep set goals outside of mechanics, and your mechanics will get better naturally. That's all there is to it.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would say don't worry about your mechanics. They're not a major weakness. Not a major strength, not a major weakness. Just chill.
Okay.
I like the angle that we're holding here. Obviously, it feels very far away, but that's because the enemy team is just letting you guys push the cart for free. When they do contest the cart, as you can see here, your angle is going to be perfect. Right? Nice job. You misplayed it. That's all. What should you have done here? Coach yourself.
Probably just dashed in on the Mercy because she was super low. I could have gotten a reset.
Sure. Even using your deflect here and then dashing out would have been fine, because you might not see this, but this Mercy is not okay. Obviously, the Mercy's looking at you, or dealing with you rather. Bash is looking at you. Moira's looking at you, and there's another sign on your screen that somebody else is looking at you. Do you see it?
Oh, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, the bubble on Bastion, obviously,
right.
Yeah.
So then what does that mean for your front line? Well, that means that your Ramatra is just completely walking forward uncontested, and your backline is also uncontested. Now, their Hanzo makes a pop-off play, so we'll ignore that for now. But if you see this as a Genji, and you're timing this engage well, which you are, your team is pushing, you're pushing, this is good. You don't need to feel the urge. You shouldn't feel the urge to, I need to go. No, you don't. You did your job. Okay. This is the same thing as the Sombra sitting in the backline. If the Sombra's sitting in the backline waiting for you to engage, what is that Sombra doing when you don't commit your dash?
Just sitting there doing
Just
nothing.
Doing literally nothing. So you could damage, hold the corner, reset, get healing, do it again. And if they keep on putting this many resources into you, then you're going to keep winning the frontline trade, and keep winning the frontline trade, and keep winning the frontline trade. So here it's just, I think it's okay. You don't need to commit there.
Okay.
Go ahead. You're about to say something.
I was going to say two things. I was going to say, like, in that game where I had that Sombra just sitting there, like, the second video, she kind of does a little bit, but there's one game where literally that's all they did.
Yep.
Was literally just sit there, and like they even had like a Brigitte and everything just to like try to counter me. And I think in that situation, like, I've tried a lot of different things, and like my team's perception is like, oh dude, you're trolling, you're just sitting there. Like, obviously I know stats don't matter, and I try to tell people that, but like a lot of the time they're like, dude, like I'm gonna fucking report you, like do something sort of thing. And I try to explain my situation. I mean, is there any way that you can get your team on the same like kind of like page or mindset, or is that just unfortunately something that's never going to happen in like Overwatch competitive?
It's never going to happen.
Okay. All right.
I'm trying. I'm spreading the good news of off angles and patience and timing and team play without all these things, and so I'm sometimes I hear lower ranked players, even in like the various communities, like echoing some of the points that I made like a year ago. I'm like, hey, maybe it's slowly getting out there. But even if I were like a million people were to see my videos and like to understand other educational content creators' videos tomorrow, it still wouldn't be enough, right? Like it's don't place that kind of level of expectation on your teammates. Just do your job. And even if your teammates occasionally get frustrated at you, it will still be the right thing to do, and you will still rank up as a result.
Okay. And then the second thing I was going to say is I have to pee really bad. Do you mind if I go real quick? Okay.
Go
thank
for it.
you.
You're good.
Thank you.
No problem. I'm starving to death. Apologize for being rude if you're watching this. I'm answering and getting my replay review that's happening after this setup. Letting them know what the deal is. I hope everyone's doing well. Didn't get much sleep this morning. But I was able to get some stuff done, and it's always the days where you don't get much sleep. So you're like, my expectations for the day are like trash, and you're like, oh, pretty good day so far. First session was good. Session's been good as well. And Spilo 2 viewers, I do actually read the comments. I don't always read the comments in Spilo 1, but Spilo 2 is small enough where I do read the comments. So appreciate all the kind things that have been said.
All right, I'm back.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Back. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is. And I just kind of want to point out, like, actually what happened in this fight is that your team actually just won the fight. So, there's so much attention pulled back on you and your Echo that even though your team only really used one ultimate here, you guys easily won this fight. So, okay.
Now we push. Do not falter.
Good cycle there. I mean, a little bit risky for sure, but that's kind of what we talked about, right? Where it's like, commit your dash, you go for the combo, you deflect out, right? And then now you're good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Here. I don't know if I would Nano Blade this, only because of how close their spawns are.
Right. I think we ended up losing the fight, but the blade, I think I ended up getting 2 or 3 people.
Okay. Because that's the
but
thing.
I think that was just like a coincidental thing.
Yeah. If your Ram's alive, sure. But because your Ram's dead, there's no real chance that you're going to win this fight. Like, even if you get the kills here, they'll probably just respawn and you're going to have to disengage anyway.
That makes a lot of sense.
So just be really careful when you do that. Yeah. Because it'll be like, hey, all right, we got like 2 meters of cart progress, and then we're going to die anyway. Your team could disengage this, maybe? Yeah, okay. It's that's not the worst result for your team. Your team plays it pretty smartly. I spoke too soon. I shouldn't have said anything. My bad.
It already happened.
Yeah, retroactively cost your team the entire team fight. At least they committed some ultimates there. That's a good that's a good bit of ultimates. So, okay. All right. Now you're gonna look at the comp, and you're gonna be like, how do I kill anything on this composition? And again, that goes back to like, where's your dopamine, where's your serotonin? Like, are you going to be happy with getting the Moira to look at you, throw a damage orb at you, Lucio to boop you, Soldier to be looking at you, Junkrat force some CDs, force a bubble, and then just live? Or is that going to make you want to quit playing Genji? Because this is going to happen from here till the top 500. Not every game, not even the majority of games, but it will happen.
Right. I think I don't really mind it. I actually, in this game, for whatever reason, I was so much happier when he switched to Soldier instead of Hanzo. Right. Even though I know I have like a better matchup against Hanzo, I just felt more comfortable immediately.
Sure. This is kind of like similar thing where like I think here it's like, okay, so you take an angle, you go for the Lucio. Here, just you failed, you force some CDs, you force retention. What should you do right now? Immediately.
Leave. Deflect but deflect, they have whatever. The beam, obviously. I mean,
yes to everything, right? Just deflect, disengage, whatever. Get to cover, re-engage, take an angle, do it again, over and over and over and over and over and over and over. Because this is exactly what kills the Moira, right? Moira's looking at you briefly. You see this?
Mm-hmm.
See where crosshair is? So that wham, that's you. That's your kill. Won't show up in the stats necessarily, but that's your kill. Get off main, wrap around behind. Yep, that's fine. Because remember, the thing with Moira and Zarya, especially like Zarya and Mei and Symmetra and stuff, is like they just don't have your mobility. They just can't take the angles that you want to take. So, yes, they're annoying, but also you could do crap like this, that if they were on Winston or Tracer or Echo or another Genji, right, they would be able to stop you from doing this. And so that's the weakness of these characters is that, yeah, they're annoying, but they can't really stop you from doing this. The only thing here is you got to think my escape route. And you're not, this escape route is super, super clunky, right? This should be dash, right click, deflect and quickly get up here or out or this way. Like there can be no waste of time because you know what they're going to do.
Right. All turn towards me.
All turn towards you.
I think this goes back to what I was saying about expecting a little bit too much from like my team. Like I saw obviously like pretty much everybody's at full health. Right. And I saw Kiriko just throwing out Fuda. So I was like, oh, I'm going to jump up here and I'm just going to get real high so she can see me and throw Fuda. But she just never did.
And she's trying, but the problem is this is where like your team needs time to react, essentially. So if you go with something proactive, always have like that, okay, when this fails, what do I do? Because this is a good play that will win your team this team fight because 5 people are looking at you, or 4. Your Ryan will murder everybody, but I don't want you to die for it. Like, I want you to create space and distractions, but I don't want you to die for it because I want you to be able to do it again in 5 or 6 seconds. Okay. And then do it again, and then do it again, and then do it again. Because you're going to die for this. Oy, right? Now, look at this. You're like, oh my gosh, we have this huge advantage. We're going to win this fight off of this. Yeah, congrats. Congratulations, I think. But, like, again, I want you to win. I want you to win, right? Like, I mean, actually, you guys actually lose this, right? Like, it was like a razor-thin margin. Like, razor-thin margin, right? And it just sucks, It sucks. It hurts. Nice. Good shots, really. Nice. Yeah, it's good stuff. Good stuff. Well, I mean, well-deserved win. I think a lot of the things, the adjustments you made at the end were good. We have like 10-ish minutes. Do you want to look at a little bit of Widow, or do you want to look at a little bit of the Genji in the second round, or what do you think?
I think I feel pretty comfortable with the Genji stuff. So maybe a little bit of the Widow, because honestly, that's really a lot shorter because I did end up swapping off her too.
Sure. Works for me.
Yeah, sorry.
No worries.
All right, there you are.
Got it. So while we're doing this, I'm going to type some notes here. So from the Genji, what are some actionable specific things that you need to practice?
Just not going into main, not grouping up with my tank. Probably a little bit having like you said later on in that, having an escape plan already like figured out before I go in, instead of going in and trying to figure it out as I'm like in the situation.
Avoid stacking tank when a better position threaten squishies is available. Right. Having that escape plan when committing on an engage. I think one of the biggest misconceptions that I always talk about is that like a lot of people are like, high level Genjis don't use their dash unless it's to confirm a kill. You don't just dash in, right? Total hogwash. You absolutely dash in. High level Genjis do it all the time, like many times per game, right? The difference though is that they have their deflect, or they have the wall climber, they have the cover, or they have some sort of like disengage tool to get them out of jail, right? Like think about it that way. Like when we took that angle on that last fight there on the soldier, remember that? Very, very last fight. Well, not the very last fight, before the blade, right? You dashed in. Why? Because you were too far from the squishies. Remember that? You couldn't have done any reasonable damage, and there wasn't another angle that wouldn't have taken too long to get close. So you dash to close the distance, right click, deflect, get out, rinse and repeat. Dash is a great distance closer. Now, if you can take an angle to where you don't have to use your dash, great. But sometimes you have to. Okay, so having that escape plan when committing on an engage. What else? What else did we talk about? I'm trying to think. Was it blade timing?
Yeah, a lot of those I was too far away, and I basically would like have to dash in to even get close enough to hit him with the blade.
Right. Okay. Anything else come to mind? Because those are big 3.
Yeah, I mean, aside from the stuff I already mentioned about like, not expecting, like things for like in that situation where I went the wrong way just because I thought I'd be able to get healing out of it. Yeah, I guess play a little bit more independently and like you said in the beginning, a little bit more selfishly.
Yeah.
I think one thing that like wasn't necessarily said, but I didn't even realize that like Hanzo wants to take those kinds of angles that I would already be in anyways as well. So I guess also trying to think of what other people want to do.
Sure.
Rather than what they are doing on the enemy team. Sure.
Okay. Makes sense. Let's go on to some Widow then.
And I think the Widow's on this second point. I started out as Genji in this one.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Oof. Nice. Good comp to play Widow into.
Yeah,
Soldier,
and-
Ashe, Zen, all very easy to deal with. I mean, you're kind of egoing this a little bit, but at this point, I'd probably go ahead and rotate out because you had an advantage because you got a pick, right? But then as these advantages have kind of rotated out, it's the same kind of thing as Genji. Like, again, where's the fight starting? All right? It's happening at this corner. Okay, what's the best long sightline? What's the best angle that I can take that complements my range? If you're Genji, it's going to be here. Or Genji, it's going to be here. Widowmaker? Here?
Right.
Right? Like maybe here, or like you could also take this angle. You could, I guess, try cheeky angle here. As they get around the choke, things start to open up a lot more. Angles there, and so on. But just be careful about this right here, because this is probably a little too close.
Right. And that's something that I think ended up biting me in the butt a little bit later.
Yeah. Yeah, this is too close. This is where, like, I unironically, the Ashe has the advantage in the duel here.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, 100%. Just too close. I think it's like where you're feeling it right now because you're popping off. So you're just like, oh, I'm going to break the rules. Which is fine. It happens to the best of us, except for me because I never pop off. But the reality of the situation is when you're doing something like this, I hope to goodness that this only happens when you're off the crack cocaine, right? Because if this happens
right.
ever in any other situation, then you really need to reconsider your range.
I think obviously being on the gas station would be a good point to be in.
A good compromise.
I think the biggest thing for me in this situation was I was like, I can't fucking see anybody. They're all right around this corner.
Yeah, I understand that 100%. So let's put it this way. Certainly now that your ball is dead, you're... Yeah, this is when you know the fight's going to rotate towards you. So, and like I said, in many ways, it is exactly like Genji, where it's like, where's this fight happening? What's the best angle for me to take? And then making that decision pre-fight. You're going to die. Ooh. Again, too close. It's not too close because, oh, it's too close. It's just too close because you're down one and you need to keep backing up or find a different angle. It's like, yeah, oh my gosh. There's just no way that you're still alive. Like, there's just no way. There is no way that you're still alive. Like, I cannot believe you lived that long. That is unbelievable.
I know.
All right, let's keep going here. So yeah, Widow is really simple, especially because we're limited on time. It is find a long sight line on an angle. That's it.
Okay.
And then once you get that angle, make your shots as easy as you possibly can by moving only when it's necessary. Right there, you were moving a little bit as you were shooting this in. You're kind of pressing W. You made the shot too hard. Bad. Then, now that you're actually getting shot, you're continuing to ego the shot here, when in reality, I know the hog is low, but you can't do this. You can't do this. You can't stand still when there's people firing at you. You need to back up, reposition, find a different angle. Disengage, strafe, grapple up here, and then play your game from here.
Okay.
So it's all about knowing when you can move and knowing when you don't have to.
Is mostly just holding an off angle a perfectly valid strategy as well?
Yes.
Like I noticed that
Yes.
Zen was over on that left. Okay.
Yes, you can hold an off angle. The only time when you want to shift your off angle is when you want the element of surprise and there's another off angle elsewhere. So let's say the Zen's like, oh, frick, I can't get over this. Widow's crap. He's swearing on his breath, right? And then you grapple across to here and you rotate to another song line and you just smoke him right here. He's going to be so upset, right? And that's especially important when you're playing in Widow duels because you both know where each other are. It's the one that fools the other one, essentially.
Right.
That doesn't mean that I'm going to be grappling up here and be like, hey, Zen, surprise, it's too close, right?
Right.
But you can reposition yourself, absolutely. Like again, you get the kill here on this Zen because he has no idea you're there. He's thinking Soldier, he's thinking Mercy, and then he gets shot by Widow. He's like, what the heck? You do the same thing here. You cannot ego this. You cannot ego this here. It's too close. It's too close, and he's already fired. So you need to kind of, at this point, disengage, and then maybe consider how do I want to take this duel. So what I've seen so far is a little bit of it's just you popping off and a little bit of hubris, right? But it's forcing duels and ranges and in situations that make no sense.
Okay.
Like right now, you could just totally relax. Nobody knows that you're here. You got a brilliant sight line. And even though Ashe knows you're here, she's too far away to really do anything about it. So you're okay to peek this. Right? But then if Hanzo was a wall climb up here on top of you, I'm not going to be scoping in and trying to shoot the Hanzo.
Right. Yeah, I definitely, like, after, like, from this point on, definitely started to, like, miss way more shots. I was, like, panicking a little bit.
It's always funny how it goes. It's like you're acting like a complete idiot, but you're hitting every shot. And then now you're playing smart and you're missing all the shots. A lot of mechanics is just a little bit of luck and a lot of confidence. And if your confidence starts to go, then you're going to struggle. So just the key thing when that happens is just to relax, not worry about it. Just feel it. Stupid positioning, really. Like, you needed to disengage from the Sombra, but the Sombra's now dead. And worst case scenario, you could always tuck into here, find a slightly longer sight line. There's zero reason for you to be playing within hook range here. You gain nothing.
Okay.
Right? And so even though you don't die, it means that you're spending time SMGing, demanding Suzu, demanding Mercy Pocket, instead of, killing people.
Right. Okay.
Even this angle here only makes sense if you want the element of surprise. But that element of surprise is gone, and now you're playing at point blank range into Hanzo. Not going to work.
Right, and I also don't have grapple up, so I can't get away even if I wanted to.
Exactly. Venomines have been pretty good. Like, you're definitely getting value out of them, so that's nice. And at this point, you might as well just go for the kill. There's nothing to lose here. So, okay, let's. I guess we can make a couple quick notes for Widow. So, what would you write down as good reminders?
Definitely try to look for the longest angle that I can when I'm fighting them.
Okay, let me paraphrase. I wouldn't say the longest angles, just look for a long angle.
Right. I think the reason why I picked that one specifically is just because, I mean, obviously you showed me some, but like at the time when I was playing Widow, like on that map, I feel like a lot of the angles, at least after you showing me them, are like pretty constrictive on that map specifically, aside from immediately after spawn. Like, that's a pretty long angle, but after that, not that. I mean, there's some that are all right, but I mean, I feel like they're not that great. Like, if that Sombra knew I was in that hallway or whatever, there's not a lot I could do when she's already in there.
Yep.
So I think maybe learning when to just, not force it and just swap off like immediately. Maybe not as soon as I'm not getting value, because, I could later, but, in that situation, which I eventually I did, but I probably needed to do it a little bit sooner, especially with the Sombra, and like the fact that, like, me personally, I was not, finding these angles that were, great. I probably should have just swapped.
Sure. I mean, there's some creativity expression with Widow as well, like being unpredictable, hiding from Sombras and Venomines and stuff like that. But yeah, for sure. Okay. How do those notes look? I put a couple of notes for you with Widow.
I mean, those are good. I mean, it was a very short clip, but sure. I appreciate, you looking at them.
Sure. Of course. Any questions about Genji or Widow now that we've kind of wrapped up?
Not at the moment. I think I'm going to roll with